Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be continuing where we left off in the previous video and where we were discussing the steps are involved in the biological method in order to use the biological problem, right? And we discussed the first three steps, which were the recognition of a biological problem. Then came the observations that are needed to observe that biological problem. And on the basis of those observations, a hypothesis was given, which was a general statement. Now, on the basis of that hypothesis, we are going to make certain deductions. What is a deduction? It is the logical conclusion of a hypothesis. Logical conclusion of a hypothesis. Now, in this step, reasoning is going to come. What? We are going to deal with reasoning. We are going to provide a reason for any statement that we are giving. Okay. So on the basis of the hypothesis, which was made based on the observation, we are going to deduce a reasoning explanation, a reasonable explanation. Okay. Remember, the most important thing with respect to deduction that it is always an if and then statement. It always starts with if, and in the middle it will be joined together with a then. It is always an if and then statement. A deduction will always be given in the form of a if and then statement. I will explain it with the help of an example. Suppose if biologists find out that every plant have a nucleus in their cell, right? Every plant cell have a nucleus. If biologists are saying that every plant cell have a nucleus. Now, a biologist is not going to go and check every single cell that is present on this planet Earth in a plant, right? That would be impossible. That is completely impossible. So what would be the reasonable explanation for this? What would be the logical conclusion for this? This is basically a hypothesis, simple statement, a general statement that every plant cell have a nucleus. It's a general statement. Now, on the basis of this, a reasonable statement will be given. A reasoning will be given. A logical statement will be given. And that will be in the form of an if and then statement. Biologists said that all plant cells have nucleus. This is an hypothesis which has never been rejected or proven right. So on the basis of that, deduction will be, the statement will be, if we examine a blade of grass, we are going to examine a blade of grass, then each cell of that grass will have a nucleus, right? This is the deduction. First of all, if and then statement. If we are examining a blade of grass, then each cell present on it will have a nucleus. Every single cell that is present inside it will have a nucleus. Here a reason is given. We are examining a blade of grass and each cell that is present inside it will have a nucleus in it. On the basis of this, the hypothesis that was a general statement has been given a reason that why the biologists are saying that every plant cell have a nucleus, right? So this is how deductions are made. You need to remember whenever you write a deduction, it should be an if and then statement. It should always be an if and then statement, right? So this is how deductions are made. This will brings us to the next step, that is the experimentation. The experimentation that is going to prove the hypothesis correct or false. That is going to prove that a hypothesis is correct or false on the basis of this. rigorous experimentation is done. On the basis of the results, we will conclude that yes, this hypothesis is accepted because this is the right information. Whereas if the results are deducting that the all of the results that were given were wrong, then that hypothesis will be rejected. Now, whenever we will perform the experimentation, you need to remember there is always two types of groups. One is the control group and the other one is the experimental group. And both of their data are compared. This is the reference group, you can say. This is the reference that we'll use. And this experimental group will be compared with that of the reference group. I will give you the simplest example first. If we have got malarial patients, right? If we have got malarial patients, those malarial patients are experimental groups. Whereas the healthy individuals, as compared to those malarial patients, are the control group. These malarial patients will be compared with that of the healthy individuals to know that what is the difference between two, where they differ. What does healthy people have which malarial patient does not have, or vice versa. What malarial patients have in their blood which healthy people does not have. This is how the both groups are compared with each other. Now I can give you another example, a simplest example. There is a diagram that is given in front of you. There are two pots, this one and this one. You can see seed is sown in both of these pots, right? Both of these pots, seed is sown. But the water is only being given into this pot. This one, the water is only been given into this one, whereas there is no water given to this pot. And we already know that a plant need water and its nutrient to grow. A seed needs to have those nutrients in that water and that temperature to grow exactly, right? So the result of this thing will be that the first pot, out of the first pot, 9 out of the 10 seeds will grow into baby plants, or seed sprouts will be there. Whereas the pot where no water was given will have no plants production, no sprout production. Yeah? So in this way, there are two groups. The first one was the control group, in which all of the conditions were ideal. All of the conditions were ideal. Water was given to that pot. Whereas the second pot, the water wasn't given to that. पानी वहां पर नहीं दिया गया था. जब पानी नहीं दिया तो उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ? The seeds did not grow into the baby plants. And therefore, this one is the experimental group. Another thing that we can discuss here is that we know carbon dioxide is very much necessary for photosynthesis. And what is photosynthesis? The process to make food that is used in the plants, right? So the plants use that process to make food, and carbon dioxide is very much necessary. If we have got two plants, suppose we have got two plants and one of the plant is given carbon dioxide and the other one is not giving carbon dioxide. The other one is not given carbon dioxide and one of them is given carbon dioxide. What will happen? What will happen is that the one which has been given carbon dioxide will flourish. The plant will grow. The plant will produce its food. Yes? Whereas the one which hasn't been given carbon dioxide, there will be no photosynthesis. And thus, when there will be no photosynthesis, there will be no flourishing of the plant. The plant will ultimately die. So this is how these two groups vary. The one which have been given carbon dioxide will be a control group, whereas the one which haven't been given carbon dioxide will be an experimental group. Clear? So these two groups need to be there to deduct the result. And whatever the result will be, based on that result, the hypothesis will be proven wrong or right. Clear? So after this step, after experimentation, two simple steps will be there. The first one is the summarization of the result. The result that have been taken will be summarized. How? First of all, remember, from the experimentation, biologist will collect the quantitative data. Why quantitative data? Because it is accurate, most accurate. Quantitative data will be collected and then it will be averaged and compared with the different results. And after comparison, there will be a statistical analysis that will tell us whether the experiments have proven the hypothesis wrong or it has rejected the hypothesis. So the quantitative data will be gathered and then it will be averaged and compared with each other, and then on the basis of that an analysis will be made on the basis of the statistics that were given in the result, and on the basis of that the hypothesis will be proven right or wrong. This was the second last step, and the last step will be the presentation of those results to the world. Scientists have proven something right or wrong. They are then going to show it off to the whole world that this was the biological problem and this is the conclusion, or this is how it's going to resolve. What will happen? The result will be reported in the form of different journals. Books can be published, whereas different national and international seminars can be held, right? Papers can be published. There are a number of ways according to which these results can be reported globally. So this will be the last step in the biological method in which different problems are resolved, or in which different hypotheses are proven right or they are rejected. Clear? This is how a biological method is dealt with. This is how a biological method will resolve certain biological problem with the help of these 7 steps. I hope everything is clear today. If you have got any confusion and you want me to resolve that, let me know in the comment section. And looking forward to hear back from you. Subscribe to my channel, like it, share it, and follow me on Instagram. Till next time, stay safe. Bye bye.